Good evening, everybody. It's not Monday, it's Wednesday. I apologise, first of all, to everybody who signed in on Monday. I unfortunately had to postpone Monday's show very suddenly. I was taken down by what I can only describe as a very sudden surprise illness. 6 o'clock Monday night, I was absolutely fine. By 6:30 Monday night, I was starting to feel unwell. By 7:30 Monday night, I was in bed feeling absolutely awful. So I apologise for anybody that did try and tune in and there wasn't a show. And I thank you all for your patience and for joining us tonight for tonight's show. Before we go any further, just got a couple of little announcements to make. I think it's just the one tonight, actually. I've now got to find. On Sunday night is the postponed girl bands quiz from Walking with the Woods YouTube. I'll just run a little. So that's Sunday night at 8 o'clock over on Walking with the Woods YouTube. The link for the quiz is in tonight's description. And I think that's everything I've got to announce so far. Just give a quick shout out to the people in the live chat. Good evening, Amusement Element. I don't know. Identify yourself. I don't recognize the name. I recognize the account name, but I don't know your name. Good evening, John from the Kelly Family Adventures. And of course, Nick from Walking with the Woods. Anybody else in the live chat, please say hello. And of course, I will shout you out. Right, tonight's guests. Obviously, tonight is a back chat episode, which is where I bring back a guest that has been previously on the show. And some of you may well remember Kaz and Dave from an early episode. Callum, thank you for identifying yourself, Callum. It's always better to call, I always prefer to call people by their names rather than having to refer to them by their YouTube account names. And Lily from Airtime Madness, welcome. And we had a great chat about, you know, Dave's adventures and Kaz's crafting and all those kind of things. But of course, what we were made aware of at that time is that they had planned to go on a cruise as a big celebration for their wedding anniversary and Kaz's 21st birthday. I'm joking, it wasn't a 21st birthday, but you never ask a woman's age, and you certainly never give it away if you know. So basically, I wanted to get them back. They've been on their cruise, and from the videos I've seen, they've had an absolutely amazing time. So let's, without further ado, welcome in Kaz and Dave to tell us all about their cruise and more. Good evening, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
All right.
How you doing?
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
We're good.
Thank you for your patience over the whole Monday night thing.
I wish.
Yeah, I'm 29 again this year for about the 15th time, I think.
And I'm going to be 31.
Yeah, that's it. You see, exactly. Yeah, you don't look a day over 30, Dave. So you're all right, mate. You're doing all right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your patience after Monday night. It was an absolute disaster, and I'm so sorry. I literally, well, obviously you saw all the promo stuff I'd put out on Monday. I was, you know, totally geared up for the show, and then 6:30 Monday night, I was just like, oh, I'm starting to feel really quite rough. And by 7:30, I was in bed, literally in bed, shivering. I just, it was just, really not nice. I don't know what was going on, but thankfully I appear to be recovering. Still not 100%, but better. So thank you for agreeing to come in tonight and do the show. It is very much appreciated. So let's get on to the important stuff. Your cruise. So it was to celebrate your 10th wedding anniversary?
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
So whose idea was the cruise in the first place?
Mine. Mine. It's something, a cruise in itself is something that I've been looking at and wanting to do for absolutely ages and ages and ages. I mean, I've always thought in my mind I'd love to do a Baltic cruise, and and go around that area and stuff, but they were way too expensive, and I never even thought we'd be able to do a cruise. But then I just thought, you know what, let's have a good look at it and see what there is, what's available. And we've got friends that had gone cruising as well, and it was by chance as I looked on the P&O website and I seen this cruise that was £500 a piece, and I thought to myself, £500, we can more or less do that. So we went to the co-op travel agency to check things out with them, because I wasn't certain about booking just with P&O direct. I wasn't certain about doing that. And so we called in at the travel agency, spoke to them, and they went through things with us and everything, and they actually booked it for us.
Okay.
We paid the deposit, and then we had until Christmas last year to pay the rest off.
So I mean, I think you know, the general impression of people is that cruises are like really ridiculously expensive and out of reach of the, you know, of the average person. But obviously, having spoken to you guys and spoken to Karen's mum and dad who regularly do cruises, it seems like it's actually a much more affordable possibility as a holiday than most of us realise.
Yeah, we were. I think when I found this cruise that was £500, I was quite pleasantly surprised, and it was 7 nights visiting 4 different ports. And then the more I thought about it, before going and booking properly, the more I thought about it, I thought, well, you can't really do that. You know, if you're trying to go abroad and stuff, you're stuck in one place. You haven't got a car and that, and it can be quite expensive going abroad, because we keep looking at going abroad. We were trying to go to Efteling. Yeah. David wants to go to Energylandia if we can sort it out. We've been looking at other places as well, like Liseberg and so on, and they're just so expensive. Just for two people, just for a couple of nights, it's like £500, and it's ridiculous. Whereas what we paid for the cruise, we got so much more than anything else, kind of thing. It was well worth it. Yeah, it was a lot more affordable than anything else, in all honesty, and I'm glad that we've done it. Yeah. And it wasn't just that it was our anniversary and my birthday. It was also
Caroline's first
time abroad. I've never been abroad before.
Oh, wow.
I've never visited another country. So not only did I visit another country, I got to visit 3 countries. Yeah. In a manner of speaking.
So a real dream come true then, a real sort of dream trip. And do you think you're likely to do it again?
Yeah,
we have booked another one.
We would do it again, and we've actually booked one for 2025. This time we're going to be going
Norwegian Fjords.
On the Norwegian Fjords cruise.
Oh, lovely.
On the Britannia. And
so obviously,
sorry, I was about to say.
No, carry on.
That has only cost us an extra £150 each to what we paid for the last cruise, because we've upgraded. Yeah. So we're not having a normal inside cabin. We're actually having a saver balcony this time instead.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So
quite impressive.
So yeah.
Yeah. So the cruise you went on, where did you visit exactly?
First port Vigo.
Yeah.
Then after Tuesday was Lisbon. Wednesday Porto. We had the sea day Thursday, and Friday was Cherbourg in France. So, like what Cam said, like 4 ports, 3 countries.
Yes, So Vigo was Spain, Lisbon and Porto are both in Portugal, and then obviously Cherbourg is France.
So I'm just going to show the video that you sent me over, Dave. This was you going into Porto, wasn't it?
That was from Porto.
The next one's scheduled at 9:15, so in about 5 minutes if you want to. it's up to you. Don't have to cross the bridge.
I don't think it'll hurt.
Okay.
Not as if we haven't got the money.
I mean, it looks amazing, guys.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I must admit, Portugal, I've never, well, as far as Europe's concerned, I think I've only ever done France and Italy. It's you know, my European travel is quite limited. I've been to the Caribbean, and I've been to Spanish islands, but never actual Spain. So I don't class that as going to Spain. I class that as going to a Spanish island. So, but I mean, yeah, just was it good weather all through, or?
I think the mornings.
No, it was when we went to Vigo. Was a little bit colder, but it was still warm. When we landed, we landed an hour late, but it was a little bit cold. It was a little bit misty, almost as if it was threatening to rain. But it didn't actually rain, and it was still quite pleasantly warm. Portugal, Lisbon and Porto were both very, very sunny. In fact, I got a little sunburn walking around Lisbon and Porto. Cherbourg, that was very wet and a bit miserable, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was one of them places. So. And plus we didn't have an excursion round Cherbourg, but it's just one of them things, really.
No, we chose not to do any of the excursions on the ship, but in hindsight, we probably would have been better off doing one from Cherbourg, but we weren't to know what was or wasn't there, so...
It's one of those things, isn't it, that you sort of, you live and learn. You know, you've done one now, and you know, you'll get to know whether you want to do excursions and whether they're worth doing, because I think sometimes it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there is options to book things directly, but I think, you know, sometimes the ship excursions, if you book them direct through the shipping company, I'll call it shipping company because I can't think of a better term for it. They obviously add their commission for the booking of the excursion, and you know, and so I think you know,
they made an announcement every day. We could have gone down onto level 5, to they actually had like a P&L shop on side on the ship, like a travel agency. So we could have gone down and booked an excursion, but all the ones that we'd looked at beforehand on the website, most of them were like going, they were like £50 plus each, and a lot of them seem to be going somewhere tasting wine or port or something else alcoholic based, and we don't drink, so it wouldn't have been worth it for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, as you say, you know, if you're not drinkers, then you wouldn't want to go wine tasting and port tasting, but I can kind of see why on a trip like that, when you're stopping at, you know, countries that are famous for their drinks, shall we say, you know, that might be an easy excursion option for the cruise company. Whereas, you know, Porto and Vigo also have quite rich histories. You know, and I think, you know, if you're like me, you like exploring the history of a place and the culture of a place, and you know, and you can do all those things without going on an excursion by just literally stepping off the boat, can't you? I mean, you are free to disembark at every port, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what we did pretty much.
We booked, there was like a little, maybe a park with a set of ruins, and didn't realise how high it was quite up. It's like Vigo, there was high elevation, and I mean, like, getting up there, jeez.
Now, Vigo was funny. Vigo was funny because you can't really see the town from the ship. You can't really see the town because it's all hidden. With it all being uphill, it's all hidden behind the building. So we got off the ship, walked a little bit to a shop so as I could get a couple of postcards, and then we walked up to behind this shop to like this little square, and then we were trying to work out where we were. and we actually spotted, or I spotted, some escalators and some steps going up. So we thought we'd go up there, and it was funny seeing these escalators in the middle of the street. I'm like, why is there an escalator in the middle of the street?
Oh wow!
Yeah, proper. You know, the step ones that you are in most places, at most tube stations and that, going up, and then the steps coming down. So I was like, okay. So we went up them ones in this little side street, and we got up most of the way up by the by I think what was the local police station, and then we could see the fort in front of us, this like park and fort, or ruin or whatever you want to call it. And we decided to go up there. That was where we was heading anyways, I think, to be honest.
So were those sorry. Yeah, go on.
So we went up the fort, and once we got to the top, the viewers were like, amazing, and you can't quite believe how high you are, because it doesn't look, if it makes sense, it doesn't quite look as if you're as high as you are.
Yeah. So I'm assuming those escalators then are because the climb is so steep.
Yeah.
That they've actually put in a system to assist people getting up and down from the port. That's really clever. I mean, there's places. I mean, obviously, I don't know if many people watching know St Albans. It's very much built on hills, and no matter where you go, you're going up or down a hill, and some of them are quite steep hills. There's a particularly famous one that goes from the city centre down towards the Park of Verulamium, which is the Roman ruins, known as Holywell Hill, and it's an absolute killer on foot, on bike. Even cars struggle sometimes to get up it. It's and so having something like that would be absolutely amazing, because you see some little old people up and down that hill, and you sort of think, crikey, how on earth do you manage that? I struggle with that hill. How on earth are you managing it? But so what a great idea that is, and very community thinking. Do you know what I mean? Let's help our residents get from A to B a bit. So I think that's a great idea. But it sounds like you guys had an absolutely amazing time, and I've watched the embarkation video, and I have to say I was very touched. Dave, you've got that excited face, Dave. I've seen it 3 times now. Yeah.
Like leaving the hotel where we stopped in Southampton. Obviously, we had all our bags. Like before, we went to Portons. That was all right, but we've done Portons before. And when we got to the port, of course, we've got all our cases and everything. We like dragging around, and we've seen the port, and it was like, whoa. Then we've seen the ship. I mean, that was like real. It was right there, big, massive. Thinking, whoa, look at this.
Yeah, it was a very big ship. It was a little bit hard to take in at first. I don't think. Did it feel quite real to you until we was actually looking at the ship and stuff?
Actually going into the departure terminal, I thought, this is it. We're going on a big holiday, and I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, you could tell by my face. I was like, wow, this is it. And
as I said, Dave, I've only seen that face like that much on 3 occasions. The first time was Enzo at Blackpool. Yeah. The second time, Mandrill Mayhem.
Yeah.
The first time you got on that. And then the third time was that embarkation video. And I saw that face, and I went, that's Dave's truly excited face. It's and as I said, it was such a lovely video, and if you haven't seen it, please, I've included the link for the embarkation video on tonight's description, so please get over and have a look. It's beautiful, and it's very much, we feel that we're with you, sort of experiencing that for the first time. And I mean, they're essentially hotels on water, aren't they? They're absolutely enormous, these things.
Yeah, it was. I don't think I fully I didn't explore the ship quite as much as David, and I know I
Yeah.
kept getting confused as to which was the forward and which was the back.
Yeah.
I mean, I was finding my way around, but I couldn't tell you which was the forward and which was back.
They are absolutely enormous, these things, and you know, and it's like you say, you don't fully grasp the sheer enormity of them until you actually see them close up and realize, oh my word, you know, this is absolutely phenomenal. It's like that first time you get on a jumbo jet, I suppose, isn't it? Where, you know, you've got an idea that they're big. Of course they're big because they seat sort of 300-400 people.
No, I've never flown, so
wait until you see a plane up close. I tell you, it's similar experience. You sort of step, you know, into the airport and you see them there and you're like, whoa, that's absolutely, you know, it's just absolutely phenomenal. But I'm so glad that you had a great time, and obviously, you know, what a way to celebrate an anniversary and a birthday, and also your first trip abroad. I mean, you know, talk about, well, not just killing 2 birds with 1 stone, but killing 4, maybe, I think, is what that would come under, which is, you know, absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, the other things we touched briefly on there, and I think it's a good link over, Dave, and I know, Kaz, obviously you were there as well. Got to get your feedback on World of Jumanji. Obviously, I spent some of the day with you.
You did,
What did you think about
it? The night before, the Sunday night, like
That's
like,
right. Yes, I met you in the hotel the Sunday night, didn't I? And then we went over.
Hotel, yeah.
That
kind of reminded me of a bit of the cruise, like upscale hotels. I find it a lot better than previously at Splash Landings. I thought, wow, this hotel is amazing, especially for, obviously, the grand opening of World of Jumanji. That was something else.
Yeah.
And
no, it was absolutely phenomenal, wasn't it? And I love the Chessington hotels. I think personally they are the best hotels.
I've been saying to David, if we can sort it out, maybe stop over in October and do Oktoberfest, or not Oktoberfest, Halloween at some point if we can.
I think that's a great shout. I mean, I think what we'll probably do, what we did last year was we did Christmas at Chessington, and that was amazing as well. It was you know, really enjoyable, and obviously that was the first time we'd stayed in Chessington Hotel, and we just fell in love with it.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I totally agree. I mean, like that hotel.
Yeah, it was a nice room. It was a nice room, really.
Yeah. And not terribly expensive either.
No.
£95 for the one night for the 2 of us. Yeah. So.
Yeah. It was, you know, and I think it's one of those sort of unknown gems. I think, you know, because obviously Legoland's terribly expensive to stay at. You know, and I think it's well acknowledged that it's an expensive hotel, and yeah, you do get a bit more for your money, but because it's obviously because of the Lego theming, but I don't think it's necessarily worth the extra. And then obviously you've got the Alton Towers hotels, which are great hotels, but again, so ridiculously expensive. And then you get
sometimes it's more like you're paying for the name than the actual services and stuff, and it's a bit annoying.
I do think at Alton Towers you're paying more for the fact that it's at Alton Towers, not because it's a great hotel.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, and I think, you know, and Chessington could probably get away with doing that because obviously they're a famous park, you know, and the hotel is a really lovely hotel, yet they don't seem to feel the need to charge over the odds for it, which means that, you know, people like yourselves, myself, and my family can have the occasional treat by staying there.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's and it's really nice. You know, I'd love to be able to stay at Alton Towers hotels, but it's certainly not within my price packet. But normally when I stay over at Alton Towers, yeah, as Nick's saying here, yeah, always tend to stay off site at parks, except except for Chessington.
We've only stayed at Alton Towers in Splash Landing once.
Yeah, that was
a few years ago.
2019.
Yeah.
October.
Yeah, that was a few years ago. All the rest of the times, if we stopped over, we either stopped at the Ivy House, which was just next door, or what was it called, the May something house?
There's one in Utah. I can't.
Yeah,
I can't think quite.
We stopped at one in Utah, so it's the May something. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But it's just across from the train station. So then you just got to get the taxi.
Yeah.
And that's where we stopped most of the time, to be fair, when we've gone.
Yeah.
That was last year.
Christmas time for Lightopia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the actual
or something then before then as well.
The actual World of Jumanji itself, what did you think about it?
Oh, Kevin was overwhelmed by actually doing their grand opening. I felt bad because I think you wanted just to try out that new coaster. I still haven't done Row 7, which I hope to at some point next month.
You were just all excited, and for some reason I was wigging out. I'm not certain why I was wigging out. I just was.
I think it was
happened to me before.
I think it was a big event, and there was a lot of excitement, and I can totally understand how it could be overwhelming. You know, and as I say, there was a big rush to get there first thing in the morning because obviously as hotel guests we were given the early ride time. You know, and I think it just all it was all quite intense as an atmosphere and hectic and you know and
it did
I
feel
totally
really
understand.
intense. I don't know. I'm not exactly certain what it was that set me off, but it was just really it did feel quite intense, and I think there were people talking about it and saying they're going to do this, they're going to do that, behind us before we got through the gate, and I was just like, I don't know, it was just something I just started and I couldn't stop myself, kind of thing. So, it's one of them.
Happens to all of us. To all of us. But I mean, obviously, once you were in, and you got to experience all of it. I know, Kaz, you didn't do the coaster, but you did the flat rides. Dave, obviously, you did the full complement.
Yeah.
What did you think about it? Do you think it's a great addition?
Obviously, the first time was row 5. I went round again, managed to get front row. See, I went on with you, row 3. I thought that was a bit okay. It's all right, but it's not I would have preferred over 3 instead of front row is a lot better. But obviously, it's all different with the different rows. So I mean, currently, that's just it. I still need that Lucy row 7.
You'll get there eventually, Dave.
Yeah.
I think the theming for the area was really, really good, really spot on. It was cool having the different people dressed up and stuff. I mean, I didn't see them doing some of the interacting that I was told other people had seen them doing, but it was cool that they were dressed up and everything. I sat down with Karen for a while to just calm myself down and stuff, and that helped, being able to talk to Karen and sit down and stuff. We eventually did Ostrich Stampede just before everyone else came into the park at 10 o'clock. And the Ostrich Stampede was enjoyable, but a very short cycle.
Yeah, extremely short.
And they seemed to be having trouble with getting it loaded properly, I think, because they were leaving the one seat open.
I experienced it because obviously I was at the pass holder preview day as well, and they were having ridiculous troubles to the point where we didn't actually get to ride it on the pass holder preview day. I gave up in the end because it was going to waste way too much time getting on that could, that personally, I wanted to spend getting as many rides as I could on Mandrill Mayhem. I'm not going to lie. That was the main attraction for me. And they seem to be having real problems with how to load it, and and whether they should be loading 3 seats or 2 seats, and whether it's inside or outside, and then it was spinning, but it wasn't bouncing, and then of course, like you say, I did it on the following day, and it was just over so fast. Just as it was getting going, it was over.
That was it.
Yeah.
And I was disappointed.
Yeah, I was a little. I mean, I enjoyed the ride, and it reminds me of like a jumping frog, which I've not done for ages at a fun fair. And that was what it reminded me of. So I might get back on a jumping frog again. But it was just like over so quick, so fast and stuff. And I mean, I know the proper jumping frogs, they used to go forward for so long and then backwards, and it was always the opposite way that you started off. It was faster, as I remember from a kid. And it was just, I was just like disappointed that it didn't go backwards as well or something. It was just a little disappointing, but other than that, it was fine. And it did seem a bit weird as well that they'd only got one person checking them, when it perhaps would have worked better if there was 2 people checking the arms.
I think it was a ride that would have benefited from a second person. Just getting it loaded and unloaded really wasn't. I think it was taking a lot of time, but I can appreciate it's probably a ride that will only going forward have one person. I can't see that they'll be able to justify 2 people on it, but for the sake of an opening day, you would think get as many people through as possible at least, and just getting on top of it. Obviously, the other flat ride, Mamba Strike. Now, I really quite enjoyed Mamba Strike. It reminded me of some fairground rides I'd done. Obviously, it was a slightly toned down version, but still very enjoyable. How did you find it?
The Miami,
we did it.
I enjoyed it.
We did it in the afternoon. We didn't do it in the morning. We did it in the afternoon, and actually, I quite enjoyed it. We sat in the middle, which was better for me because I remember going on the Miamis at fairgrounds, and I remember if you sit in the middle, you don't get as much lift as you do if you're sitting at either end when it goes round. So we sat in the middle, and actually I quite enjoyed it, and I didn't swear, which for me, if it scares me, I swear. So the fact is I didn't swear meant as though I was enjoying it actually.
No, that's good. I know Gabriel commented that he loved sitting at the ends because of the time that he got from it. And his claim was that by sitting at the end, he got all the airtime to himself. I'm not sure that's a substantiated claim, but it made him feel good. So that's pleasant enough for him. And but I think overall, I think most of us agree that it's a good addition to Chessington. It's going to elevate the park.
I think Mamba Strike's a lot. Mamba Strike, when they get it working and stuff, because we came off and they couldn't get we came off it and we was fine. But the next lot of people that they loaded on, there was something wasn't hitting right. One of the checks or something wasn't hitting right, so they had to open the safety bars and recheck and redo this and redo that. And in the finish, I think it was actually the gate wasn't shutting properly, the exit gate. I think that's happened a couple of times, I think, from what I've heard.
We had a bit of an issue when I was on it that the restraint was obviously pulled it down and clicked it in to accommodate me, but unfortunately the seat I was in the green light wouldn't come on if I pulled the restraint in too far. But the problem was leaving the restraint out far enough for the green light to come on then meant I wasn't completely secured. So it was kind of like I wasn't thin enough for it to come in right in, but I wasn't big enough for it to be secure out where it needed to be. So in the end, we had to, after a number of times trying to release and reharness and all this, we ended up moving seats, and then it was absolutely fine. It was just a seat swap over. So I think, you know, teething problems, aren't they? You know, as with all new things, you know, there's going to be teething problems. You know, you can test them as much as you like before you open them, but until the public get in and actually you know, start to use them and you get to experience them in real life situations, you know, there's always going to be those teething problems, you know, and I think
Exactly, one sec.
hopefully no, that's right, Kaz, don't worry. Hopefully
Karen's putting lights on.
No, I'm not.
Obviously the other
myself.
Oh, Dave, I feel privileged now. I've got you all to myself.
You got my awesome all to yourself.
The other big thing, obviously, we need to talk about, Dave, is you know, your Exodus journeys and updates. I mean, you know, I totally applaud your commitment to Project Exodus and you know, the fact that you've traveled hours to get down and video and photograph what is to me just a building site, you know. It'll start to interest me, I think, more probably towards the end of the season when from my perspective what will be something starts to happen. I mean, I appreciate some of the last time I was there, which was Saturday, I think there was signs of some supports going in.
Wow, I haven't seen that yet.
But you know, so what is it about Project Exodus, Dave? What is it about Exodus that's really grabbed you?
I've actually uploaded another Thorpe Park blog, and like you said, I've covered round by back of Saw with the big deal, and I said like obviously that deal's gonna like go down and hopefully do some supports, but how it works, I don't know. I'm not big into construction, so I'm just, you know, thinking aloud. But that'll be like my 6th construction update from Thorpe. I'm going back again fairly soon. I think it's still bank holiday, that's the only thing. So I've got to like leave early.
Yeah.
Again, so that should be interesting. But like you said, I love Thorpe, so plus need to check out Ghost Train.
Right, it's not a bank holiday.
No, it doesn't. The 5th.
Yeah, it's not a bank holiday.
I think
it's not a bank holiday, but there might be strikes and stuff on, so the coaches might be busy.
I was good. Yeah, the train strikes have been causing absolute havoc, haven't they? Because we live on the commuter belt here, so a lot of people are very dependent on trains to get, you know, in and out of London. And I know it's caused absolute chaos every time there's a strike. You know, it causes chaos, and obviously it's a school holiday this week, so people would be using the trains to go and visit London attractions, and you know, I think it's made a lot of people a bit wary about going into London and visiting, and you know, and it's a shame really, because you know there's so much in London to go and visit, you know, and a lot of things that are free of charge as well. You know, it's but it puts people off.
I mean, once you get into the actual town, there's lots of stuff that you can do for free. There's the Albert and Victoria Museum. There's all the museums really that you can do for free.
Yeah, exactly.
And all the parks and stuff. And this is what I wanted to go and get. The teddy that I brought.
Oh, your little vampire teddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or bat teddy, whatever you want to call it.
They're new this season, aren't they? I don't think I've seen those before.
Yeah, because I've got another one that's got like a cape, but this one's new.
That's cute. That's very cute.
I mean, while I was sitting with Karen, I had a couple of goes on on one of the games to try and win a leopard or something. Sounds like a
What's that
Kugel.
be?
But I didn't win anything. I'm not that good at throwing stuff. But, you know, I needed to do the throwing as well at the same time.
Yeah.
But then we went and got on, when we went and got on Vampire, I went in the shop and bought this, and this is a Cuddly Bear, so
Yeah.
it was what I needed as well on the day. Something to Kugel.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Obviously, you mentioned just briefly there, Dave, Ghost Train. I mean, have you seen any of the videos about it? Are you? What
No, I don't think I have. It's
No,
hard
we
to
haven't
say,
seen any of the videos.
I'm quite blind, you know, catching up with different videos, should we say.
No,
I mean,
we haven't seen any of the videos really for Ghost Train. We've seen one or two for Nemesis Sub-Terra.
Yeah.
But again, not too many. I think we're kind of reserving judgment until we can get there ourselves and maybe hopefully go on the ride, or at least in my case, at least walk up to the drop tower and then decide whether or not I'm actually going to do it because I don't know if I will, because I don't tend to do drop towers. But the fact that it's indoor and everything, I'm not certain.
Yeah, well, absolutely. You don't know until you get there, do you? I mean, Ghost Train, obviously, Kaz, is probably right up your street because it's essentially a horror maze, a scare maze, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think, you know,
You've already done it.
Your street. I've already done it. I'm not going to give you any spoilers because you know, I think
from when we did it, from when we did Darren Brown's, if it's similar or if it's something,
I think it's different.
Well, it will be different because I think they've got rid of the VR and everything. I think off the top of my head, so obviously it will be different.
It is different. It's a different story.
Yeah.
I can't really say much more than that because some of my thoughts on it are hinge around the changes that have been made or not made. So I think, you know, it's a kind of
have they definitely got rid of the VR, or is they still using VR?
The VR is gone. That's completely gone.
Yeah,
that much I can tell you because that's you know, that's general knowledge that the VR was always going because, you know, I think Thorpe Park acknowledged a while ago that it didn't work, but because obviously they paid a lot of money for the IP and, you know, it was an expensive ride to build. They needed to sort of get whatever money's worth they could out of it before they ripped it all out. But yeah, the VR has gone. It is now an actor-led experience.
It's like Walking Dead with I think a few actors after the initial coaster coming just before the exit.
So if it's a bit more like Walking Dead, then I will really enjoy it because Walking Dead is my favourite ride at Thorpe at the moment, so I will really enjoy it. I mean, I go on Walking Dead and I calmly walk to the roller coaster. Yes, I get a bit nervous when we're going to the roller coaster, but that's the roller coaster itself. Once I'm on, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm never too keen on the lift hill, but again, I'm okay. And when we get off, I calmly walk out as well. The fact that there are zombies there doesn't really bother me. In fact, I'm almost giggling because you get the 6-foot lads that think they're as hard as nails running out screaming like girls, and I'm like, what? Why?
I must admit, having experienced Walking Dead with you, Kaz, you are stone cold when it comes to these scare things. Whereas, you know, I don't mind admitting that, you know, I get nervous, I get scared, and you know, and all of that, and it's you know, and although I've learned that scare mazes don't terrify me in quite the way I thought they would. So, but as I say, so Ghost Train is definitely one I think you'll enjoy, and I actually look forward to hearing your appraisal of it because of your love of scare attractions. And I think, you know, you'll give quite an honest review of what you experience, and I look forward to seeing that because it'll be interesting. I mean, obviously, you know, I didn't watch any videos until I'd experienced it myself. I've since watched a few, and you know, and there's some opinions I agree with, and there's some I disagree with, and you know, but like all these things, and you know, and I say I've got a vlog coming out from Thorpe Park Saturday, you know, and as I say in that video, you know, taste is a very personal thing.
Yeah.
You know, and there are things that I won't like that other people will like, and there are things that other people will like that I won't like, you know, and
Yeah.
so I think, you know, and I've always said, go and experience something for yourself, you know, and then decide whether you agree with the general opinion or disagree with it. You know, there's no right or wrong when it comes to an opinion about things.
Yeah, I mean, even
you know.
sometimes you can experience something once and it can be amazing, and then you'll experience it again and it can be totally different as well.
And I
so
think
it can all depend on what's happening during the day as well.
And I think that's exactly it, because it is now an actor-led scare attraction, if for want of a better description. There are going to be good run-throughs and bad run-throughs, depending on how many actors are in there, who's in there, how long they've been working, how hot it is outside. Do you know what I mean? All those kind of factors that affect us as human beings will affect the kind of run-through that you get. So it's quite, in that respect, I think it's quite brave of Merlin to now make it a fully actor-led attraction. You know, so, and I think credit to them for that, because I'm sure there are some cheap sort of get outs that they could have used. But as I say, you've definitely got to experience it and see what you think, and you know, and sort of decide for yourselves, because as I say, it's different, and that's
to compare it against like Curse at Alton Manor. So obviously you've done both. We've done Curse. And
we've done Curse several times.
Enjoyable.
Yeah.
But like compare like the two haunted attractions, say.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I totally get that. If anybody's got any questions for tonight's guests, then please obviously whack them into the live chat. Otherwise, we'll just carry on gossiping all night. Dave and I have obviously been friends for. Do you know what, Dave? It's been nearly a year now since we first met. I was looking at the calendar, and I think it's next week.
Wow.
It'll be a year since that first time.
I think it was in June as we went and stopped at Churchley.
That's right. Yeah, you were stopping at Chertsey, and I stayed in the shark cabins.
It
just doesn't seem like a year ago.
Wow. It's crazy.
You know, it is amazing, isn't it?
And then think about it. It is weird to think about it, but time always moves weird.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was only saying the other day that, you know, since COVID, I think time feels like it moves faster. Obviously, it doesn't, but it feels like it moves faster. I don't know whether it's because we're still catching up on so much that we sort of missed, that we're living life at a bit of a faster pace.
We are kind of catching up on. I mean, COVID kind of stole a few things from me, so I'm like trying to catch up and do things that I should have been doing back in 2019, 2020, whatever. And a lot of things seem to be going a bit more faster because of that, I think. Because you're catching up and trying to do it double fast because you're scared that it's going to go again. If it's going to slip again, and you're not going to be able to do it even more.
I think if anything, we're all starting to or still not taking life for granted. You know, I know for me personally, obviously it helped me massively with my journey to tackling roller coasters. And I think, you know, it's always in the back of my mind that, you know, this thing happened once, it could happen again. So let's live every day. You know, and make the most of that, because, you know, I know it sounds quite morbid to say, but because you never know which day is going to be your last, but it is true, you know. And I think it very much reminded everybody of that. You know, we all sort of went, whoa, okay, let's reassess our lives, and what we're doing and where we are and where we're going, and and think a bit more about enjoying now rather than saving up to enjoy in the future that might not actually happen. So I think it's certainly taught us some lessons about that. So what is your next park? What is your next park trip, Dave?
That's next Monday down to Thorpe Park. Obviously, that's the final week of Mardi Gras at Thorpe Park. I still haven't been there. Obviously, next week, on the Monday. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
The following week, hopefully back at Chessington to see if I can manage to get row 7 on Mandrill. Maybe a bit of a video challenge, and then
and if he's doing these at crazy times, I won't be joining him.
Yeah.
he's doing crazy travel on the coach at 3 o'clock in the morning and coming back at 3 o'clock in the evening.
Maybe.
It's too much trouble for me.
Maybe.
No,
and then
that's fair enough.
The third week, Alton Towers.
Yeah, I'll go
yeah.
with Alton Towers because that's doable in a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't know about that. It's hard to say.
Don't forget as well, Dave, that Chessington's Mardi Gras runs for a week or 2 weeks after Thorpe and Alton Towers, doesn't it? So so Chessington's Mardi Gras will still be on. I think theirs finishes on the 25th of June, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Whereas I know Thorpe's finishes on I want to say it's the 11th of June.
Yeah, I think it is the 11th because like that week it's like the final week, like.
Yeah, and then I think Alton
11th.
Towers is the same. I think theirs finishes on the 11th as well, maybe.
I think I'm gonna miss that one. Yeah.
But I've heard very mixed.
Mardi Gras, Alton Towers many times.
I know last year I did literally. I went to all 3 Mardi Gras. This year I've been a little bit more selective about it, and I've heard some very mixed reviews about Alton Towers Mardi Gras. So but again,
it's travel for you down. I mean, it's a
quite,
good journey.
it's quite a journey, and it's with sadly with the price of petrol what it is now, it's become a very expensive journey. And so
we've only been to Alton Towers once so far this year, and
when
we go
twice.
Yeah.
Like for the start of Smiler Takeover, I think officially the first day. And that was it. That was the last visit.
Yeah, we haven't.
At Alton Towers.
We haven't done the parks as much at the moment. If we're going in a couple of weeks, then we'll go and have a good look around and stuff. But to be fair, Mardi Gras isn't really the festivals aren't really ones that bother us. The only one that we want to go to and we enjoy is Scarefest because of the horror mazes.
Yeah.
And this year, if we can, we want to try and get down to Thorpe and do Thorpe and Chessington because we want to see what other scare mazes are like. Because at the moment, we've only done Alton Towers and the one in Warsaw. So if we can,
Drayton Manor.
And Drayton Manor last year, So if we can get further afield and try other,
absolutely,
other scare experiences, it'll widen our knowledge and stuff, and that's what we want to try and do.
I must admit, I'm interested to see what Chessington are going to do this year to replace Creepy Caves, because that was a fantastic scare maze. Considering Family Park, it was a very, very intense scare maze. I remember doing it in 2019, I think, which was its first year, and then I did it again last year, which was its final year. It was it was very intense for a family park. It was quite an intense experience. So I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do this year. I'm hoping that they continue to use the zoo's old reptile house because I think that's perfect for a scare maze. But what they actually do with it this year will be quite interesting to see. We've got a question from Mike here, Journey to the Attractions. Top 3 rides, Dave.
Top 3 coasters. Now, recently I've been obviously down to Adventure Island. Probably know this.
Yep.
Third is Rage. That's sitting at my number 3. Then Smiler. Afterwards, top spot still Sword of Ride. Obviously, it could all change. Maybe this year, if like what Karen said about going to Poland, maybe Energylandia, Legendia,
Yeah.
maybe some new number ones.
I must admit,
Possibly.
I had a terrible ride on Saw on Saturday.
Oh dear.
Probably the worst I've ever had. It was really bad.
Rough.
It was rough as anything. It was so rough.
What about Colossus? That's reopened.
Colossus has reopened.
Yeah.
You can feel the difference for the new bit of track.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely a smoother bit of obviously track. But I think what it'll do now is highlight the fact that the rest of it probably needs retracking as well. But I believe there's a project in place to slowly retrack the entire ride.
Right.
So I think that's
same line as what Blackpool are doing with
yes.
Epsom.
I think that's the idea, is to slowly retrack it bit by bit, and do it that way. So yeah, as Mike was sat next to me on Saturday on Saw, and we both came off holding our heads, literally going, "Ow!" And it wasn't even the banging of the heads on the restraint. It was literally, it just felt so rough. It felt like the brain inside had been rattled around. It was not good at all. So Saw, unfortunately, is slipping down my my roller coaster sort of top 10 and things at the moment, because it's just, every time I've done it so far, I think I've had one sort of decent ride, and the others have been all quite rough. So I'm wondering whether it's going to need a retrack soon. But it's not actually that old, is it? Either.
Yeah, so no, I don't know.
So
I'm just thinking about what my 3 are. But if we're going on coasters, I think.
Mike said rides, Kaz. So
yeah. Oh, he did say rides.
Any rides?
Right, I think. Actually, thinking about it, I think my new coaster for this year would be. I mean, it's not a new coaster, but my new number 1 would actually be Walking Dead. I've had the most fun experience on Walking Dead most recently. I still enjoy Vampire, but it was a bit different when we read it on Saturday. It felt a bit different to me, and it just must be the fact that I'm 6 down lighter and everything else. I don't know, but yeah, it definitely felt different. Yeah. And I had more fun when we went to Portons, and I managed to do Flight of the Pterosaur twice at Portons, and I was actually having more fun on it.
Yeah.
I still prefer Caterpillar from Portons, though. I think so. Yeah, I'll definitely say Walking Dead. You know what? The other rides that I love, but I don't get to go on them very often, unfortunately, is the Haunting and Hex. We've not been to Drayton Manor at all this year, as of yet.
No, we haven't.
And I really love the Haunting at Drayton Manor. That's one of my favourite rides. And then I really enjoy Hex as well. But again, I'm aware that Hex has been down a lot and stuff, which is a bit disappointing. But I do really enjoy both of them. So I'd probably say those, to be fair.
But they're consistent with your love of scare and horror and dark, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, I totally get that. Mike's got another question here. If you were animals, what animals would you be? I'm intrigued to hear this.
What?
What animal would you be? If you was an animal, what would you be?
You could choose to be an animal, Dave. What would you be?
Probably a cat. Lie around, relaxing.
Yeah, like
having fun. Yeah.
That sounds like a good shout to me. That does sound like a good shout.
I'm not certain as to which particular animal, but I can tell you which animal is my favourite, and that's a dolphin. I absolutely love dolphins.
I'm glad, Yeah, you do.
I think that answers the question as well, doesn't it? If that's the animal you love the most, then why would you choose any other animal? I think that's a good shout. Mike loves your answer, Dave, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that that's a good shout. Obviously, Nick's asking favorite Sex and the City character. Have you ever watched it?
No, not really.
I've heard of it. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, we've heard of it and we've seen bits. I've seen bits and pieces, but it's not. I've never got into
No,
any.
I've never watched a full episode.
Yeah, I've never got into any soaps or dramas, like that. The only thing that I've been getting into, maybe like drama or soap or whatever you want to call it, that I've gotten into over the last 10 years or so, was the Arrowverse stuff. So I've been watching all of the DC stuff that has come out of America from that. Otherwise, I've not been getting into anything really.
No, well, nothing from me like Sex and the City. I would not have a clue. I just know there's like 4 women, but I don't even know their names. It's real or the character.
I must admit, I'm with you guys on that one. I've seen odd episodes. I know that there's movies that came out of it. It's not a series that ever really sort of appealed to me.
No.
But I couldn't name. I don't think I could name any characters actually. I know some of the actresses. But
yeah, I mean, I can point to an actress which I think is Sarah Jessica Parker, but I don't actually know.
I think she's the one everybody knows, isn't she?
Yeah,
she's the actress everybody knows from it. But other than that, I don't. Yeah, I couldn't say that I particularly knew any of them or could tell you who their characters were. Mike's saying that he'd be a killer whale, so similar to you, Kaz. You know, marine animal. I like the idea of that. I have to say though, Dave, I love your answer. I think it's brilliant. Just the fact that you know that the idea of just lying around all day like a cat is the most desirable thing.
Yeah.
They really do, don't they? I mean, obviously I've got 2, you've got 1, and they're just it's so funny. They are the laziest animals. You know, they spend so much time sleeping. You know, you just sort of think. And then my 2 love coming alive and awake at about 4:30 in the morning when they decide we want to go out now, and then they start coming jumping all over me and all over Karen to try and wake us up to get us to let them out, which is most annoying at 4:30 in the morning. But you know, it's
Socks isn't allowed out because of us being on the top floor of a block of flats, so she's not allowed out at all. So she just gets her food and stuff, but she starts about 4:30, 5 o'clock, knocking on our door, as it were, scratching our door to make sure I'm awake, because I'm always the one that feeds her.
Yeah.
Generally speaking. So yeah, it was just like, okay, get up, please.
Favorite Disney villain.
Yeah, Nick's asking who your favorite Disney villain is.
Oh, Jafar. Is it Jafar?
Yeah, Jafar from
Aladdin.
Jafar from Aladdin, yeah.
He's like proper, ooh, God, freaking.
Villain.
Yeah.
I've got to think now. But I do like them all. But
what film or what Disney?
You know what? I'm tempted to say Ursula.
Yeah.
You know what? She is up there, isn't she? Because I must admit, I find her quite. She has the almost the look of being not quite so evil, but actually is probably one of the most evil. You know, because what she's offering is obviously a golden opportunity, but the price is quite an expensive one, and obviously and she tricks or tries to trick Ariel into
Yeah.
into giving up her voice like that. So yeah, I would agree with that one. The other one I quite like is trying to think now, from Sleeping Beauty, only because of Angelina Jolie's
that's
portrayal of her.
Maleficent.
Maleficent, yeah, because I love the
Yeah.
Maleficent films. I think they're brilliant films. And
Yeah,
I think
they are
Angelina
really
Jolie
good.
really brings that role to life and really breathes, you know, real life into that character.
They're refreshing for them to be told from her point of view as well, rather than Sleeping Beauty's point of rather than the other point of view like before. It's quite refreshing and stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree.
She's actually in them films. It's actually she's more good than she is evil. Actually, in them films,
I would say in those films, she is victim.
Yeah.
Come villain.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, you understand from how she was the victim, why she became the villain. And I think it's a very interesting take on the whole story. Yeah, Nick's saying we need more villain origin live actions like Cruella, Maleficent, and obviously Mike's saying, wouldn't it be great to have a film about Ursula? You know, what's her backstory?
Yeah,
because I think sometimes the villains are just there to be pointed at, sort of thing, but they're not always as villainous as they're painted out to be and stuff.
No,
and
absolutely.
It's one of them things.
Misunderstood.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good to understand. You know, quite a lot of people who turn to villainy have a reason or, you know, a story as to why. So it's quite nice to see those stories. On the flip side of that, who's your favorite Disney hero?
Disney hero. Oh. I want to say Pinocchio.
Oh wow, that's an interesting one.
Well, yeah, it's like a wooden boy brought to life and then becomes a proper boy after, I think, saving his adoptive father.
Yeah. Hero. Not really a hero as in I can't really pick out a hero, but I would guess my favourite my favourite film and everything, I'd actually go for Cinderella. But that's because I like the different versions of Cinderella that are out there. There's so many different versions, and each one's a bit unique and stuff. I like. There's my favourite version, I think, of Cinderella is actually the one with Drew Barrymore. Which I think. Oh, I'm trying to think what the name is. But yeah, I think that's one of my favourite versions. Is the one with Drew Barrymore. And then the other one, as I really like as well, is Ella Enchanted. That's a really good one as well. Ella Enchanted. That's a really good version of Cinderella.
Okay, yeah.
But if it's Cinderella, I really enjoy the films and stuff. We've got.
I think she counts as a heroine.
Yeah, I mean each one's a bit different and stuff, but she does have to. Different versions and stuff, but she's overcoming quite a lot to actually meet the prince and everything, and she does do a lot on her own. I would say Cinderella.
If you were the owner of any theme park, what ride would you remove and why? Wow, there's massive scope here, isn't there?
Yeah, that's a good question. Oh god, that's hard. Like, what can to put? What remove the ride? I can't think of any.
It has to be a ride that you really don't like. To be fair, I would probably to be fair, I would probably either remove Drop Towers or Pirate Ships because I don't like either of them. They're just, yeah. That's probably what I would remove from a theme park, is either Drop Towers or Pirate Ships, because they just go too high for me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they just give me the wiggies.
I think that's a justified reason.
So that's what I would do. I'd probably remove them. and I'd replace them. I think I'd actually probably replace them with more dark roller coasters like Walking Dead, because I think one of the things that makes me enjoy Walking Dead is the fact that I can't see the drop coming.
Yes.
I think that's one of the things that makes me enjoy it, and the fact that I can't see it.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Nick's asking, would you like to? Oh, sorry, Dave. Yeah, sorry, mate.
I'm thinking, carrying the way, not like this, but I'd say steeplechase. Yeah, it's sort of used my back last time, thinking, oh, yeah, I'd have to say steeplechase Blackpool.
Yeah, it's a classic ride, but it does need some work doing on it, I think, to make it stopping.
Yeah.
Make the I don't know, the horses need more padding or something.
Yeah. I remember it being quite rough, actually. I'm not going to lie. I remember the first time I did it, thinking it was quite a rough old ride, that one. So I think for me, I'd have to say Galactica has got to be the one that would be gone. I think
I like a good flying coaster. That's the only one.
I've never been on a flying coaster at all. So
what you've hit there, Dave, is the nail on the head. You like a good flying coaster, and I don't think Galactica is a good flying coaster. It is a flying coaster, but I think it either needs a massive retheme and rejig or whatever, or it just needs to go. I think
poor Galactica.
I know. And it was one of my first, so it's not like I don't have a nostalgia attachment to it, but as I've done more and more coasters, I think, I just, it slips more and more and more down the pecking order all the time. So I think that's the one I would probably get rid of. Final question here from Nick. Would you watch Star Wars in release order or in chronological order?
Well, in my case, I wouldn't really watch them at all because I'm not into Star Wars. I prefer Star Trek.
Me too.
David does like them, so I'll let him answer.
I'd say chronologically I would, but it's like a lot to watch. A hell of a lot to watch, I would say.
It is, and
if you've got to watch them, it's better to watch them in chronological order so that you understand the storyline rather than jumping around.
Yeah,
because it does jump around a lot. If you watch them in release order, you are literally going backwards and forwards in time. And I must admit, I'm not a massive Star Wars fan. I think I've watched most of them, sort of, not intently.
Have I watched most of them? No, I don't think I've watched most of them. I think I've seen
the originals.
I think I've seen the Phantom Menace, and I think I might have seen some of the originals, but I don't think I've watched all of them. Or if I have watched all of them, I don't remember them completely. Because I much prefer Star Trek. I'll happily watch all of the Star Treks. And they've even got 2 timelines now, the Star Treks have, and I understand that. I'll get them completely, and I'll watch all the TV as well. I'm not up to date with Discovery and Picard yet because I need to get into them properly. But all the others up until then, I'm quite happy to watch them, whether they're the films or the TV kind of thing. So
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Right, well, as that's the last question, guys, and obviously we've been an hour and a quarter.
I like what Mike said about Wicked. Yeah, Wicked is a really good version of the witch being misunderstood. And because we only know Dorothy's version of events, we don't know the witch's version, and it is really good. I am actually trying to read the books that it's based on, but I haven't been able to read them as of yet.
Do you think? I mean, I looked at Wicked and I thought, do you know what Wicked is an example of is freedom of speech breaking through eventually, because it's almost like the Wizard of Oz is the propaganda from the government from the government of Oz, depicting the witch as evil. Actually, the truth of the matter is that she's sort of a hero because she went against the status quo, to try and break the stranglehold of. Yeah, it had quite political undertones for me. That when I watched Wicked the musical, I was kind of like, oh, okay. Do you know what? Never thought about it in those terms. But what about if Oz and the wizard and the good fairy were actually the oppressors, as it were, trying to keep order with what they're doing, and that she refused to tag along with that and toe that line, but so was then depicted as evil, as is quite often the case in state controlled countries. And I just thought, yeah, it's quite deep, actually.
Yeah, it is quite deep. I mean, some of what we've been discussing about villains not really being villains, it just makes me think of there's the big movement to not recognise, but to say that Richard III isn't as evil as everyone thinks he is. There's a big movement with that now, and they're trying to find evidence of this and this and the other. And it's one of those it's one of those that a lot of the time it's told by the victors rather than the others, and it's one of them weird things kind of stuff.
A lot of the history of Richard III was written by people like Polydore Virgil, who is well documented as being on the payroll and in favour. Obviously, Shakespeare being another example of somebody who would never write in favour of Richard III, because his audience was a Tudor audience, and and his plays were written for Elizabeth, who was a Tudor. So he's not going to do something that glorifies their enemy. So, and there's more and more evidence coming out about Richard III actually being quite a good king, being quite a just person, and that maybe a lot of what we've sort of taken for granted up till now is total propaganda. That from the Tudors, and that I doubt we'll ever know the full truth, because that's
there's no way of knowing the full truth unless somebody actually invents a time machine and goes and views it in themselves, I suppose.
Exactly. But I've always refused to believe that he was as wicked as people painted him. I don't believe for one second that he was quite so bad. I think unfortunately he was in a bad period of history, where lots of bad things did go on. But I think personally, I like Richard III, and I enjoyed studying Richard III and trying to dig a bit more into the truth behind him.
I really enjoy my history, and I'm quite into that time period of the Rose and the Wars of the Roses.
No, absolutely.
I'm quite into all that time period.
I think it'll be interesting to see what happens.
At Warwick Castle last year.
Yeah, we went to watch the show. That was really good. That was really good, the way they did the jousting and that.
Yes. We didn't see the jousting when we went this year, but we did. I mean, we really enjoyed the castle. It was, and hearing the history of the castle.
The jousting is only on during the summer holidays, so I think it's July to September.
That's unfortunately what we discovered. Yes, that it was only during the summer holidays. So it was unfortunate that we didn't see it, but we might try and get back, because I do like a bit of jousting. It is a bit of fun, and it is quite entertaining. So we might well try and get back to see it at some point. Right, guys. Well, as I say, I think that's the end of that. So I will let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. It's very much appreciated. Obviously, we loved hearing about your cruise, and anybody that is looking at going on a cruise or wants to get an idea of what a cruise might be like, please go and watch Dave's videos from the cruise. And I'll say especially that embarkation day one, because it's really moving. It's a great video.
I'd definitely say the cruise itself, it was magical. It was almost as if it was it was almost as if it was a dream. It was just that magical. That's how I feel about it now. Even while I was on the holiday, it was almost like I was dreaming. So it was just magical.
And it's amazing, and I'm so glad that it proved to be that experience for you, because I had such high hopes for you guys, because I knew how much you were looking forward to it, and you know, and it's lovely to hear that it was everything you hoped it would be, you know, and that you've enjoyed it enough, and you're going to go and do it again. You know, you're going to become one of the. You know what you should do, Dave? You should, you know, the Cruising with Jane McDonald you see on TV. You should start up a complete different channel now, Cruising with Kaz and Dave. And just keep going on cruises. Yeah, absolutely.
That, like, make another channel.
Forget about the theme park stuff. Bin that. Cruises with Kaz and Dave. I think that's the way forward. I do think that might be a way forward.
I think that would be really enjoyable.
I think it would. I think it would get a lot of views. I really do. Cruises do seem to be popular, actually. And watching cruise videos, as you well have seen from your embarkation one. Right, guys, I'm going to say goodnight. I say thank you for coming on. It's been lovely to talk to you again, and I hopefully will bump into you at a park soon again. It's always nice to meet up with you in person, and you know, and catch up and everything else, and we do seem to run into each other quite regularly, which is lovely. So I will say goodnight for now, and I will speak to you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. So there we go, Kaz and Dave, and their absolutely amazing cruise. Next week, we're back to Monday, all being well. And I've got an absolute smasher of a show for Monday. I've got not one, not two, not three, but 4 members of Thorpe Park's ENT's Thrillmaker, / Mardi Gras, / Carnival, / Fright Nights team, coming in for a chat about, you know, what it's like to be part of that ENT's team. You know, what sort of experience they need to have. Do they enjoy it as much as they appear to enjoy it? You know, what their favorite roles have been. You know, and all those kind of questions that you would you know, would like to know from people who work at a park in the entertainment's department. So join me on Monday for that. It should be very exciting. I've got to know these people either digitally via Instagram, and I've met them as well at parks a couple of times. So yeah, they are absolutely wonderful, and it's so nice of them to give up their time to come and talk to us. And that's on Monday, 5th of June, 8 p.m. So please do join us for that one. It should be a good show. And that's it for me. And that's it for another Nervous Chat. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks, everybody that's commented in the live chat. And thank you to anybody that watches on Catch Up, the recording. It's much appreciated. Please hit that like button if you've enjoyed the show. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And I will see you all on Monday for another Nervous Chat. Until then, goodbye.